Today we have with us the CEO and General Manager of PWC, Mr. David Trego, and Carolyn Justice-Hinson, the Communications and Outreach Director for PWC as well. So thank you, both of you, for joining us today, Mr. Trego and Carolyn, for being here. And we hope that you'll learn a little bit about our public utility and what it's got here to offer to our residents of the city of Fayetteville and the surrounding area. So before we do that, sir, tell us a little bit about PWC and how long you've been with them in the general manager role.
Sure, and also thanks for having us. We really enjoy being here and being able to talk to the citizens of Fayetteville. Well, I've been with PWC since 2010. I originally came here to run the electric side of PWC, and I've been the CEO and General Manager for the past 3 years, replacing Steve Blanchard, who, as you know, had well over a 40-year career with PWC. But I've been in the utility business basically since I got out of college, so I've been in the utility business basically for 38 years.
Wow, it's a long time. So
yeah, it is.
I'm guessing you know your stuff.
Well, I've been around, yes, and I've seen many states. So PWC is a well-run utility, and Fayetteville is a great city. I've seen a lot of them. So
tell us a little bit about the mission of PWC. What exactly goes on at your work?
Well, PWC, as you know, was created by the legislature in 1905, and we are charged with providing electric, water, and wastewater service within the city of Fayetteville, and that's our primary purpose. Also, and it's right in our charter, which is a legislative document, that we are to operate within the best interests of the city of Fayetteville, because as a municipal utility, our assets are actually owned by the city of Fayetteville and therefore indirectly by the citizens of the city of Fayetteville.
And how unique is that the city of Fayetteville owns those assets?
Well, it's not rather unique. In the state of North Carolina, there are over 70 municipal utilities. PWC is actually the largest municipal utility in North Carolina. Nationwide, there's over 2,000 municipal utilities. In fact, 1 in 7 people in the United States get their service from a municipal utility.
Wow. And so within us, in our area here, I know we've got Duke out there, we've got Lumbee, we've got a bunch of other ones. What determines who gets you and who gets the others?
Well, investor-owned utilities have to go to the North Carolina Utility Commission and basically get permission to service certain areas. So their areas are relatively defined. A couple years back, because some of those lines were created a number of years ago before there were even roads, like around the area on Skybo Road, that was farm fields. So we entered into negotiations and basically worked with Lumbee River, South River, and Duke in defining those particular areas. So there are some areas of the city where PWC is on one side of the street and Lumbee River is on the other side of the street. But those lines are pretty well defined.
And it sounds like it's a pretty good benefit then for our residents to have PWC here to serve us.
Well, I think the biggest benefit is we're local. Our commissioners are local, our employees are local, everybody is local, and that's a real key aspect. Plus, a municipal utility is not for profit. We're not like Duke Energy, where they have shareholders and profit, and nothing against profit. I worked for an investor-owned utility many years, but that's an important aspect for citizens to realize. We are basically not profit.
And you mentioned commissioners earlier, so you're governed by a board of commissioners. Tell me about how that works within the confines or the space here in Fayetteville.
Sure. The City Council of the City of Fayetteville gets to basically nominate and appoint our 4 commissioners. Those commissioners have to be residents of the City of Fayetteville, and basically there is a nominating committee of the City Council that nominates them, and the whole City Council basically votes on them. And the commissioners have a 4-year term, and they're limited to no more than 2 4-year terms. So you could have a commissioner that is on our commission for 4 years or for 8 years.
Okay. And so tell me about some of the advantages of PWC and how that works. What are the advantages for the utility being here in Fayetteville?
Well, there's a lot of advantages in having a municipal utility. The one thing is that we really give back to the community. There are a lot of ways in which we give back, and the graphic there says that we basically pay 33% more. We are actually, and it's a kind of an interesting thing, we make a payment in lieu of taxes to the city of Fayetteville. I like to say that we're the largest taxpayer in the city of Fayetteville. We actually provide about $11 million a year to the city of Fayetteville to use in their general fund. And that's comparable to what an investor-owned utility might pay in property taxes for the property that they have. So we give back to the city of Fayetteville in that way.
Well, that's a great thing to hear. I'm sure our residents appreciate that as well. From a reliability perspective too, I understand that you are certainly more reliable than some of the other providers that might be in the area here. How does that work out for us as residents?
It works out very well. Typically, municipal utilities are much more reliable than investor-owned utilities. Now, part of that is because municipal utilities tend to operate in a smaller area, in urban, suburban areas, so it's a little quicker to respond. But as you can see on the graphic, on average throughout the United States, an average customer in a year will experience having no power for roughly about 133 minutes a year. PWC is a lot better than that. Our residents in the past year only had outages for 27 minutes.
Wow.
So not only do we as a municipal utility have an advantage, but our employees are extremely dedicated. We're out there 24/7 operating. In fact, a great example of that was during Hurricane Matthew. Traumatic event for our area. We had 95% of our customers back within 48 hours. It took other utilities days to get customers back on. So that was just one small advantage of having a municipal utility. Again, we're local. Our employees have neighbors and friends that are out there, and we're serving them every single day.
Sure. Well, that's a great point too you bring up about the hurricane. I remember that well, that we were without power all around us for days and sometimes weeks, as you mentioned, for others. But
Yes.
but for us, we were not. That's a good thing.
I'd like to mention another benefit with that, and that is our mutual aid. Anytime there is a storm, we not only have PWC here, but we have the benefit of the other public power utilities that can come to help us. PWC crews, in fact, last year went to Florida to help some communities down there restore their services, and then in turn, if we ever need them, they are right there, and so that's a huge benefit, and one that I have a chance to talk with the media, and before a storm comes, we'll have them calling us and asking us, where are y'all staging? Because they see the larger utilities getting together in the Raleigh area and bringing in their support. The great thing about being local is all of our operations are here. Our equipment is here, our trucks are here, our workers are here, and so that is something that when we are expecting a hurricane or an ice storm or something like that, we're ready to go pretty much at a moment's notice. So that's really a big benefit.
And you mentioned Hurricane Matthew. When Hurricane Matthew first happened, we actually had crews from the town of Wilson come down and help us in those first 2 days to get customers back on. And then after that point, when we got 95% of our customers back on, we actually sent some of our employees to other areas. So we used mutual aid during Hurricane Matthew in both ways, getting service from somebody else and providing service to other cities in North Carolina.
Sure, and that's a great point. I think that a lot of people, and I didn't realize this until I came to work for the city not too many years ago, that the amount of mutual aid that exists. So we're so close to 95, and I'm out on 95 during some of those things going on, hurricanes up and down the coast, and you see just lines and lines of utility trucks or fire trucks or other emergency service vehicles going up and down the coast, going to help others, and that's a great way that we're able to give back to others in the community where they're able to help us.
That's right.
But it's
Yes.
very much a mutually beneficial arrangement to
Definitely.
help other communities
Definitely.
out. Sir, tell us a little bit more about the electric and how it works, how many customers we have, how that works in our community.
Well, PWC has roughly about 115,000 customers overall. And some customers take one service from us, may it be just electric, water, or sewer. Some take two, some take three. But basically, we have about 82,000 electric customers. We have about 86,000 water customers and about 88,000 sewer customers. And again, some customers take all three services from us, but again, we do provide three services.
And I've seen some of your facilities, the water filtration plant and the water in the Glenville Dam area. Tell me about the electric plant that we have here. How does that factor into what we're providing our residents with?
Well, the Butler Warner Generation Plant, it was built in the 1970s, so it's been around a while, but we are the only municipal utility in North Carolina that owns its own power plant. Back in the 70s, our commissioners decided to build that plant as a hedge at that particular time because of the energy crisis and rising energy costs. And it's really paid a benefit to the citizens. Currently, we get all of our power. We purchase all of our power from Duke Energy under a power purchase agreement. However, we lease the output of that plant to Duke. So they make a payment to us every single year for having that plant available. So that helps to keep our rates low for our customers by having that plant. So even though it was built almost 40 years ago, it continues to provide a benefit to PWC and thus our customers.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
an amazing plant too. I remember going out to visit it last year, and to see that resource here in our community is a fantastic thing.
Yes.
You mentioned too that we purchase our energy from Duke. Are there other places that we get our energy from if we need to?
Well, Duke has a very diverse portfolio of electric, and we have a full requirements contract from them. We do get a little bit of power from, it's a renewable resource. It's basically hydropower. This was an old arrangement through Tennessee Valley Authority, so we do get a little bit of power from hydro, but our current arrangement is that we get a full requirements contract from Duke. And the good thing about that contract for our citizens is Duke does not treat us as a separate customer. We have the same standing as Duke's own customers. So we get a priority of service that is second to none for our residents through that contract.
So I imagine that follows through then from a rate perspective. How does the rate part work out for us as you're setting rates for our customers?
Well, our rates have two pieces. We obviously, since we buy all of our power from Duke, we have to pay Duke an electric bill. As our CFO likes to say, we are basically, she writes the largest electric bill every month, okay? Basically, according to our last year's budget, our electric costs are about $140 million. That's a significant amount. So that's one piece of our bill. The other piece of the bill is basically delivering that power that Duke delivers to the homes. So that's maintaining the wires, the transformers, the meters, everything that it takes to get that power to a customer's home, and also making sure that we have the people, the engineers, the line workers, everybody there. So there's two aspects of the bill. There's the actual electrons that are being used, and that's the bill that we pay to Duke, and then there's the other piece, which is us delivering the power to the customers.
And how do our rates compare to other areas around us?
Well, when you take a look at municipal power in general, because we're a nonprofit, typically our rates are much lower. So how we compare is actually very, very good. Our rates, when you compare them to the Dukes, to other municipals, to the Lumbee Rivers and the South Rivers of the world, our rates are typically lower than them. And that's especially when you take a look at all three of our rates. When you take a look at the combination of your utilities to do your home, those customers who take electric, water, and wastewater service from us pay among the lowest rates in the state of North Carolina. That's a great thing for our citizens. It's also something that we use and the city uses to attract businesses here for economic development. Because businesses, some of them, their utility costs are their second biggest costs sometimes. So having low costs for our customers is a benefit to them and a benefit for economic development.
And as those rates are determined, I know, Carolyn, we had talked before about how the rates, we have a new rate structure coming into play here in the very near future. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Our commissioners last year made the decision to move to time of use rates effective May of 2019. And this was something that we've talked about for a long period of time, because typically electric markets in the United States are not one price all the time. It's based upon supply and demand. So there are periods of time during the day when electric costs PWC more money. So our commissioners, after we installed our new meters that allow us to do this type of metering for customers, decided that we would go to time of use rates. And what does that mean? That means that for 4 hours of the day, and in the wintertime that's in the early morning, and in the summertime that's in the later afternoon, power will cost our customers more because it's costing PWC more. For the other 20 hours of the day, power costs us less. So we're able to pass those savings on to customers. So if you compare it to PWC's current rates, the off-peak rates will actually be 6% lower than our current rate. So there's an opportunity for customers to save money on their electric bill if they make some simple changes, like setting back their thermostat during those on-peak times, doing their laundry or their dishwasher instead of during the peak times and the off-peak times. So we're doing a lot of things to help communicate that, and I'll leave that to Carolyn to talk about our communication efforts. But we're going to be getting the message out through our employees to customers ways in which they can save money on their electric bill in preparation so they're ready when we change those rates.
Well, and there's a lot of things that we're trying to talk to customers about now, even though we're almost a year away for these new rates going into effect. It's going to affect their habits. Customers need to start looking at how they use their power, and while we're in either the summer or the winter peak hours, start thinking about how to change things. Like maybe they need to consider doing their laundry at a different time of day. That's probably one of the most simple things, and we talk about that a lot. But once we get into time of use, or actually before that, we will have some tools available for customers so that they can start evaluating how they're using energy and how they can take advantage of these lower rates. The first one of these is going to be a calculator that they can find on our website. It will show them if they shift from on-peak to off-peak hours, how much they can save in general. Just because a lot of people will ask, does this really work, or can I really save with this? We will also be introducing a new customer web portal. And the best thing about the web portal is customers will be able to see their own electric use by the hour. So they can see exactly how much they're using on those on-peak or off-peak. And this is going to be introduced in the fall, so it will give the customer several months to start looking at their usage, and they can really just kind of play around and see when they change habits how that usage changes. One of the other tools that will be coming on, we have a lot of incentive programs that we encourage customers to take advantage of. One of our new ones is the Thermostat incentive program, and there's actually going to be several of those. We know that energy use, your heating and cooling are one of the largest contributors to your energy use, and obviously your thermostat is how you manage that use. And so we're going to be introducing some new programs that will allow people to either get an incentive when they are purchasing a thermostat, or actually what we call engagement programs, where if we can tell they are adjusting those thermostats to conserve energy, there's an advantage to them. So those are some of the upcoming tools that customers can use. Some of the existing tools that they can use now are the incentive programs that we have out there. We do have incentive programs for several Energy Star appliances, such as dishwashers, clothes washers and dryers, refrigerators, which are a big use of energy. So we encourage our customers, as they are looking at potentially replacing appliances, to take advantage of those. A lot of people say, I don't want to spend that type of money. I have maybe I have a refrigerator that's working fine, but they should really look at the energy use of an old either refrigerator or even a freezer. If you've got one in your garage that's 20 years old, they are not going to be as energy efficient as what you can buy today. And so in purchasing those new appliances and taking advantage of the incentive programs, customers can really save.
Yeah, let me add something to that, because I think this is important for the citizens to know. Customers can make very subtle, small changes that make a big difference. In fact, I got a question from somebody the other day, are you telling me that I need to shut off my air conditioner during those peak periods? No. Customers can make subtle changes by just changing their thermostat 1 or 2 or 3 degrees, which a lot of people may not even notice, can have a huge impact during those on-peak periods. So subtle changes, small changes, can make a significant impact on customers and actually give them the opportunity to save money. And that's really what we want customers to do, because truly PWC is agnostic. Because if customers use less energy during those on-peak periods, not only is their bill going down, but the bill that we have to pay Duke goes down. So it's a win-win. Right. Everybody benefits and the individual customer benefits. And it's important that we realize and our commissioners realize the importance to give customers the information and the tools to be able to make those decisions. And if a customer decides, hey look, I like it cool, I'm not going to set back my thermostat, that's fine, but we've provided them the information so they know what that impact
Well, I
will
think
be.
that's a great point, and I'm glad you mentioned thermostats, because I know one thing we have with our house is Wi-Fi thermostats. And so if you've got a family where it's working spouses or the kids are at school and you're out and you're not there, and you can pull out your smartphone and change your temperature 5 degrees for the 8 hours you're not home, and you can do it remotely and then cool it down before you get, that adds up. People
And
don't think about that.
That's a question that I've gotten as I've talked about these upcoming programs. A lot of people have already changed their thermostats to some of the newer wireless and the ones they can control through smart technology. Our incentive programs will be able to, people can use the ones they already have, but still be involved in our programs. And so that's going to be, I think will help a lot of people.
Yeah, and those on-peak times are only during the week.
Right.
Weekends and holidays are excluded because typically those are lower usage times, so it doesn't cost us as much.
Right.
So it's just mostly during the week. Like I say, in the winter times
Right.
it's in the morning, and in the summertime it's in the late afternoon.
Well, you mentioned the subtle change thing too, because I don't think about when I wash dishes. This morning after we finished breakfast, I happened to wash them because we had a full load. I pushed start and I left the house, but we usually do it at night. And so now, again, as you think
Yes.
about what those subtle changes are, and just knowing, well, it's going to be more expensive if you wash it here, and that's a cumulative
Exactly.
effect over a 30-day billing period, to know that if you simply do it in the evening, late, before you go to bed, that might be the best option for you.
Exactly. So we do think just the small changes, and just for customers to realize this is going to be the off-peak, the rate that is the lowest is going to happen 20 hours out of the 24 hours of a day. So
That's good to know.
for the people who are concerned that the on-peak may be higher, that's 20 hours they can take advantage of the lower rate.
So there's not a lot of shifting, really. It's just
No.
knowing what those 4 hours
It's
are.
just
so that
knowing
you can
what
make it
those
work.
4 hours are.
Yeah,
And then-
and once you change your behavior, it becomes a natural part.
Right.
You know,
It's not
in
hard.
the beginning, I gave someone the advice. It might be as simple as just putting a Post-it note on the dishwasher. Don't start until after 8 p.m.
Right.
But then after you get used to it in the cycle, you actually become second nature, and you don't even think about it.
Sure. And I'm glad too, back to your point, Carolyn, on the incentives program, because I know we took advantage of that when we first did some things over in our house.
That's
In
right.
terms of changing your toilets, you know, to go to low flow toilets, you're getting money because it's helping everybody save. Same for the appliances. And so looking on your website is a great place to find that information and figure out what you can do to help save yourself some money.
Well, it's part of being a hometown utility. That's another
That's right.
advantage of being a municipal utility.
Sure.
Is to try to create those win-win type of situations for the utility and also for our customers.
And one of the incentive programs that I did not mention, but I would like to, is we do have HVAC incentive program, which that's a pretty significant
Yes, it
credit
is.
if someone has to change their HVAC. And so the savings of getting a new system plus the incentive can really save. And I would say most of the local vendors who are putting those in are aware of our incentive program and help educate customers on that as well.
Well, that's
And
another
all they have
great
to do is go to our website. We have all
Yes.
of them right there.
Well, it's good to know.
They do.
Well, hopefully people are going to learn from that and take
Yeah.
some action.
Yeah.
Unrelated topic, but something still in your lane and we've seen in the news around here, related to coal ash. How do we deal with that around here? Are we paying for that as part of the PWC customer base, and what does that do for us?
Well, yes, we are. Like I said, we are a full requirements customer of Duke Energy. And our contract with Duke is not regulated at the state of North Carolina. That is regulated at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC. And FERC's rate-making standards allows for the recovery of costs from wholesale customers for costs like coal ash. So yes, PWC customers will note on their bill, we have a $2 a month for a residential customer surcharge associated with coal ash. That basically is a pass-through. We get billed from Duke through our bill every month for coal ash, and we pay that bill. So yes, we are. I know a lot of customers say, well, we're not a customer of Duke. Well, we are, because again, we do get our electricity from Duke. So this is something that the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission allows. We're subject to that in our contract. So basically, we're trying to work with ways, and we actually have intervened with Duke and try to keep those costs lower for our customers, because we don't want to have to pay any more than we have to. But yes, that is part of our bill, and that is part of federal regulation.
Okay. And back to earlier, we were talking about saving money. Renewable energy is certainly a way to do that. Is there anything along the renewable energy lines that PWC is involved with, or our folks can become involved with?
Yeah, in fact, in this year, in our budget, the commissioners have approved us to put in a community solar project. And a lot of municipal utilities have really embraced the community solar idea. And basically what that is we will put in a large solar facility. We're going to put it out at our Butler-Warner generation plant. You mentioned that.
Okay.
We have some land out there.
Right.
So we're going to put in some solar panels out there, basically a megawatt of them. And we're going to allow customers to subscribe to take the solar energy from that as a credit on their bill. So they'll be able to sign up for it. It's completely voluntary if they want to do it. And they will basically see that on their bill every single month. The advantage for us, and as you know, we have a large military presence here. So we have a lot of customers who may not want to invest in solar to put on their roof. Either A, because they may only be here for a couple of years, or more importantly, because they're in a rental property. This allows those people to invest in solar and not have to worry about putting solar on their roof, or how can I invest in solar if I live in an apartment. So I think even though municipal utilities have embraced this in general, I think for our demographic and our customers, that's excellent. Because here's a real interesting tidbit going along with that. Most utilities have customer turnover. That means new customers coming in, old, and some customers moving away, of about 5% a year. Because of the impact of Fort Bragg, we're at 20% a year.
Wow.
Carolyn and I go to conferences all the time, and we mention that to other utilities, and they shake their head. How do you deal with
Yes.
that? And that's a big thing. That puts a lot of strain on our customer service reps. That puts a lot of strain on everybody. But particularly with community solar, it enables those people to go ahead and invest in solar if that's what they want to do.
Sure. And that's a good segue into, Carolyn, one of the roles you face here, which is community outreach. And I know that probably extends into your area and the team that you have to teach people about. Tell us a little bit about what you do from a community outreach perspective to help educate.
I will, and I was thinking that as David was talking, the communication side of it is very challenging when your customer base turns over so frequently. So from the community relations aspect, we are out in the community. We are offering events that people can come to, but we're also participating in other people's events so that we can educate and talk to our customers one-on-one. These days, people get their information in so many different ways, and that one-on-one communication is really valuable. We do offer speakers, and as we're talking about these topics with time of use rates, community solar, our incentive programs, we have employees that are available to come out and speak to the group. So if you have a community watch group, or you have a group at your church that you would like a speaker to come out to, we would love to have that opportunity, because even though we advertise, we put information in our bill, we do social media, there is nothing like that one-on-one interaction to help our customers and community understand better about their utility services. I always like to say utilities don't come with an instruction booklet when you sign up. So it is important that we are constantly communicating and helping people, because it is such a vital part of our lives. Yet, people do get concerned when they have to pay, and they get concerned about rates and other things. So we would like that opportunity to come out. If someone would like to have a speaker from PWC, all they have to do is go to the PWC website, the faypwc.com, and look for the community request, and just put their information in that form, and then we will get someone to come out and speak with their group.
And let me expand on that. I think that's a big advantage, again, in having a municipal utility like PWC. We do a lot of other things in the community. I mean, we do job shadowing for high school students. We have co-op students from colleges trying to keep local college students here locally and try to give them an opportunity to learn. Also, another thing that we're very proud of, this coming fall, we've partnered with Fayetteville Technical Community College, and we're starting a line workers training program. That's a great career for someone who may not want to go to college. And we're going to be having a coursework. They could go on the FTCC website. I believe we even have a link
Yes,
on our
we do.
website that if they want to explore that and see if they want to have a career doing something like that, it's something that we are partnering with them and actually going to be working with them. And we've actually developed a curriculum for them. So when they come out, they're ready to work on day one for PWC.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing as I see, watching from the city side, and I'm sure from yours too, how many people want to come work for the utility or for the city. It's a great opportunity, it's a great line of work, and it's great to be able to serve our residents that
It's
way.
a great career, and you know this, you know, the city and PWC have a lot of longtime employees. In fact, we just had a retirement of an employee who had over 50 years of service with
Yes.
PWC.
Wow.
So you talk about a
Incredible.
career. I just throw that tidbit in.
Yeah.
But I think that's because, you know, again, it's that local buy-in.
Right.
You know, that's someone who's been in the community for 50 years, and they worked in the line department, you know, restoring power every single day, and it's just another aspect of being your hometown utility.
Sure. No, I remember that as you mentioned that now. I came to one of your outreach efforts, I think it was last year, and everybody stood up before the event
That's
and
right.
said how long they've been here. So
Yeah.
they stood up and said, I've been here 15 years, I've been here 20 years, I've been here 30 years,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people who've been there for a long time. And
Yeah.
you stay there because you like it, and you like who you work with and what you're doing.
Exactly.
So that's very important to know.
Definitely.
Carolyn, back to your outreach efforts and tying in with that and people. I know we worked together a lot during the hurricane several years ago to keep people informed of what was
Right.
going on. What other ways can people follow you besides the website if they want to?
Well, social media. These days, social media is a great way to do that. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We use the Nextdoor app a lot, which is a great way to communicate. We send out a weekly e-blast, so if your email is on file as a PWC customer, we will share that with you. People may get phone calls from us, and we don't try to inundate anybody's phone, but when we are having a planned outage or we're having a project that's going to affect a customer or a neighborhood, we do our best to put out information so that they're aware of it before it happens. So there's a lot of different ways that we communicate with customers, and we continue to seek new ways because people are getting their information from so many different areas.
We also have our PWC Connections TV show.
That's right,
That's right,
we do.
yeah.
We on Fay TV, we have a monthly show, a 30-minute show, and every month it's conservation, sustainability, information about jobs. There's just a variety of information. There's an endless number of topics that we talk about, definitely.
And I like the e-newsletter you mentioned. There was
Yes.
something in there last week, in fact, on leaky toilets.
Yes.
That we happen to have replaced ours, and part of it
So
was
say
because of the note we got.
you should not have any leaky toilets.
No, we don't now. We don't now. But and back to your point too, David, on the interns. It is a good point to mention that because I've met several of them. In fact, they work for Carolyn, which has worked out really well.
And that actually, you know, our work with the high school students was something that the city actually brought to us. Jay Reinstein, who works for
Right.
the city, is very involved with the STEM program. Actually made a proposal to PWC to take a couple of students one year, and we're very happy that I think it's now the third year
That's
that
right.
we've been involved with that, and that's something that the city came to PWC and we partnered with, and we're very proud of that.
Well, good. Well, I think that's a good way to end our discussion today. Glad to have a local utility serving our customers. And David and Carolyn, thank you very much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Mhm.